Hi, how are you? This week's video is gonna be a little bit different since last time we had the video about, the Fae. This time we're gonna go a bit back in time. Today's video is going to be basically a flashback into my Procreate library. This is one of the first pieces I worked on in Procreate. So it's messy. It's fucking messy. It's not exactly the best. In fact, it's terrible. It's terrible, really. This was back in 2020, so it's been 3 years. 3 years since I worked on this piece. So what do we got here? It's a Hanako fan art. He's a character from an anime and a manga that is called Jibaku Shounen Hanako-kun, or it's also called Toilet-Bound Hanako-kun in English. It's about this ghost that is trapped in a school, so to speak, and this school acts as a border between life and death, and there are mysteries, other ghosts and supernatural entities that guard the school and take care of the border between life and death. And it's such a cool manga. Like, seriously, if you haven't watched the anime, if you haven't read the manga, please go ahead and watch it, read it. It's such a beautiful story, and the creators are incredible. The manga, Jibaku Shounen Hanako-kun, is written by Aida Iro. They're a duo that work together to write and draw the manga. They are incredible. The art for the manga it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, and they worked wonderfully to translate that into the anime. Aida Iro have a very particular style. They work with colors in ways that I've never seen anybody else do. They have a very particular style and way of using color palettes, and I really admire them. They use colors in such creative ways when it comes to shadow and lightning. And when they worked on the anime, I don't remember what studio it was, like which studio it was, but whoever worked on the anime, they really managed to nail down Aida Iro's style. They really, it was amazing. They really managed to translate their style into the anime, and they did it really well. Everything about the anime is just as incredibly visually overwhelming and beautiful. It's just visually striking, just like in manga, except that it's in full color. So it's even more incredible because you get to see the style of Aida Iro everywhere you look, and the coloring is incredible. The way that they use colors, shadows, and lightning is so different from everything else that I've seen. I really recommend it. If you haven't seen either the manga or the anime, you really got to check them out. Please, I recommend them. I really do recommend them. If you like stories that have cute art styles but have creepy undertones to them, mystery, murder, mystery, drama, and some little romance sprinkled in without it being the whole plot, but just a nice balance between plot, romance, and just everything else, I really recommend it. It's a beautiful story. I love it. I have a bunch of the mangas. I hope to get the art book at some point because Aida Iro's style is one of my inspirations when it comes to use of color, and that's what I was trying to do here. I did this back in 2020, and since it was one of my first pieces with the iPad with Procreate, I was just learning to use Procreate, and I was trying to experiment and see what the fuck I could do, like how far I could go. And at first, the first attempt that you saw was, you can guess, it was terrible. It was a mess. That was me trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Did I want it to be like my own style, entirely different from Aida Iro? Did I want to make the anatomy more realistic? Obviously, as you saw, that did not go well. That did not go well. So we threw that out the window, and there was a point when I just looked at the picture and I was so disgusted with it. You see, I'm being very honest here. Like, I'm showing you the progress of things. Now, everything you see here, the footage, is from 2020. Both of the versions were worked on in the same span of days. The first one was just like a study, me trying to figure out what the heck I wanted to do. And the second one was more like, okay, I think I know what I want to do. So the first one was entirely scrapped. It looked very funky. Anatomy, well, it was trying to go in a direction, it was not the right direction. So I took a step back and I worked on an entirely different file. And now that I had some idea of what the anatomy looked like, under the reference, which, by the way, woohoo, that reference is a poster art, a little drawing that Aidaido worked on for New Year's a couple years back. I think it was 2018 or something. Yeah, it was a beautiful picture. I used that as a reference. I used it mainly for the first part because I was just trying to figure out the anatomy that was going under the, I think it's yukata. It's a yukata. I think it's a haori that he's wearing. I'm not really sure. I think it's a haori, but yeah. And I was just trying to figure it out. In the second version, I decided to go for something closer to Aidaido's style, but still different enough that it wouldn't look exactly the same. Mainly, I wanted the face structure to be different from their style, so I made it a little bit bigger, you know, a little bit less childlike. Something that I wanted to work on this fanart piece was the colors, because that's exactly what I love about Aidaido's style. Just their manipulation of color, it's incredible, and I wanted to learn from that. So I really was trying to focus on the color palette on this piece. I tried to experiment looking at the reference and other references from the manga and other artworks that Aidaido have done. And you know, I just wanted to take a look at them and try to figure out what is their formula, what is their recipe, how are they picking their colors, and I tried to work in some of that spice into my own drawing. This piece was basically a style experimentation for me. It wasn't only one of my first pieces on Procreate. I was also trying to see if I could do something that was not realistic, not anime, but something more neat, different. So I experimented a lot with the kind of shapes that I was using for the shadows. For example, I was very clear with the edges of shadows. I was working basically with cell shadows, but I did not, fade in, blend anything except eyes and blush. actually, and that I loved about this piece is that for the line art, I didn't use a clean brush, like a clean liner. No. In this case, I used the Procreate pencil for the line art, and it gave it such an interesting look. I really liked it. So I ended up using the Procreate pencil for the line art, and then I colored the line art kind of the same color that was below, so it would blend in nicely with the colors. Instead of just be entirely black, it gave some kind of nice spice, more flavor to the piece. Now, of course, now it's been a couple of years since the anime came out, and we still don't have a second season, which, like, why? Like, please give us a second season, please. I've been waiting for so long. But yes, it's been a while already. Back when it came out, it really struck a chord with fans. And actually, I think it was nominated for a couple of Crunchyroll awards when it came out. The year it came out, I think it came out in 2020. And it was great. Just the anime was so visually striking. It was very loyal to the manga style, to the events in the manga. They did brilliantly with the adaptation, really. If you haven't watched it, if you haven't heard of it, I hope that you go watch it after you watch the video. I hope that you go check out the manga or Aida Iro's works. They are really amazing. I really admire them a lot. They're wonderful and their work is just amazing in my opinion. The story of Hanako revolves a lot about Japanese mythology, a lot of urban legends, but mostly I think it's a lot about people in general. The story circles murder mystery and mixed feelings when it comes to life and death. You know, how short our time is and how sometimes people die at the wrong time, to say in a way, you know? How sometimes people die before their time and in the end they're not capable of fulfilling their dreams, their wishes, whatever their goals were, they just did not meet them. It's a lot about that, I think, the story. It tackles a lot of those a lot of those themes around life and death and wishes and things that went unfulfilled, regrets, that kind of stuff, sins even, which is something that is important in the manga, the sins of the ghosts that are in the school, and just in general this concept of we're all running out of time. And I don't know, I find it really beautiful. I love the story. And not to mention the art style, as I've said already many times, but it's just wonderful. If you have not watched it, if you haven't read it, please go. If you like things that have a nice balance between a cute art style and just in general beautiful coloring, and a balance between supernatural elements and then this romance plot sprinkled in without completely overshadowing the real plot and supernatural elements of the story, all the world building, please go watch it. Go appreciate their work. It's wonderful. It's amazing. Something that I kept from the reference was the mask. I gave him the usual uniform that he wears mostly throughout the series and the manga. And I just kept the mask from the reference because, I don't know, I thought it was a nice detail. And I also thought that the metallic textures of the bells would give me a nice challenge because, again, I was trying to challenge myself with kind of colors that I was using. For the bells, I used orange and green. Not only the goldens of the bells, but I tried to experiment a little and, you know, be a little bit more intrepid with my choices. One of the other things that I decided to keep different from the reference picture and in general Aida Iro's style, well, something is that if you look at Aida Iro's style, everything is very saturated. There is a lot of colors, many colors, and they're all very well chosen and used, but they're all very saturated in general, except the reds usually, and some of the greens. There's this balance throughout Aida Iro's style between turquoise and this blue-green colors and like a pink-red. There's an incredible balance between those two. They're used throughout the whole of the manga and the anime. They're the two colors on which the balance of the color palette is set. Something that I wanted to make different in my fan art piece, you know, because I didn't want this to be just like a copy of the reference or something. the one I wanted to be different enough was that I made him pale. Quite pale. Because I thought, you know what? He's a ghost. I think he should be pale. I mean, he's dead anyways. So I made him quite pale. And I think it brings better contrast to the piece with the black and the reds. He stands out a lot better, I think. It's been a long time since I worked on this piece. But you know what? It's been 3 years and I still really like the end result. It was a very nice experimentation at the time. Very nice experiment. I loved the result. I think the finished product looks pretty good. I also think it would look great as a print. I don't know, but I love it. I would like to do more stuff. You know, studying Aidairo's style. I think there's so much to learn from them, from their use of color. I think they're brilliant, and I have to do more stuff like this in the future. I still really love it. It's been 3 years, and you know, it might have had a rough start, but I think it was pretty great overall. Again, now that we're coming to the end, if you haven't watched it or read it yet, please do. It's amazing, it's great, and well, yeah, I guess we're done for this week. So bye! Have a good day, /afternoon, /evening, /night, whatever it is wherever you are. And bye! Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you want more stuff.